This morning I woke up and I was in a really weird state. I felt some sort of an energetic vibe. I actually felt a wave of energy hit me. And I went ahead and made a video of myself going through that process because I think it's important that we understand that we, as sensitives or psychics or mediums or just intuitive, empathic individuals, we have the ability to pick up on signals and on energy. Some of us are more sensitive than others, but for the most part, if we fall within that category, we're going to be receptive and aware of what is going on in the world and how we are directly being affected by these weird energies. And we may not always have an idea of what's going on or what's happening or what's bringing about this wave, but it's definitely noticeable. And this morning, when I woke up, I got started with my day, my normal routine. Every morning, I actually get up and I go over to my office and I put on the news, make my coffee, start drinking my coffee, catch up on the local news and also on the national news. And that's pretty much my normal routine. And then I start prepping for clients and appointments. But this morning, as I was, because I've actually been on vacation for the last couple of weeks, but I was just hanging out, doing my normal routine, and I decided to go ahead and take a look at local restaurants and see what was connected to Uber Eats, because I was really interested in having some eat out, because I haven't eaten out in a while. Well, as I was going through the food and all of the different options, I just felt this sudden wave hit me of emotional energy. And the energy was very overwhelming. I actually, within seconds, just felt it hit me. And then I immediately started to kind of go into a shell and sob. And as I was there sobbing, and then I just started to go into a little bit of an ugly cry, and I was like, what the hell? And I remember thinking to myself, okay, what is going on? There's nothing going on with me today. I'm okay. I'm in a good place. And I haven't seen anything absolutely catastrophic today, other than all the rest of the bullshit that we've been hearing about in the news every day for 2020. But there wasn't really anything that I was specifically thinking about. I just felt that wave hit me, and it was overwhelming and way more than I was prepared to feel in the moment. So I just went with it. I gave myself permission to go with it. And I think it's important that whenever we get caught up in these kinds of waves, that we just go with it, that we just allow ourselves to feel what we're going to feel. And that's what I did. So I gave myself permission to go with the wave, and I felt what I felt. And it lasted mere seconds. I mean, it was less than a minute that I felt that. But once it was done and it passed, I was very curious as to what caused it, what was going on there. But I did decide to record myself right as I was coming towards the end of it, because I wanted to share a clip with my followers on Instagram and on Facebook and on social media, because I know I'm not the only person that goes through this. I know that a lot of other people have these kinds of experiences, and it's important to see someone and to know someone who is going through it in the moment, and just to share what that is like. And a lot of people think, oh, well, maybe you've been watching too much news, or maybe you've been feeling really emotionally affected by everything and it finally just caught up with you. I mean, I would agree with that, except for the fact that it just came on and there was absolutely nothing I was really thinking about. I was just kind of figuring out what I wanted to eat. So I know it wasn't something that was stressing me out or something that was overwhelming me in my own personal life. And I really do believe that we are all talking antennas, and we are picking up on signals all the time. It's how we're designed. It's how we are constructed. After I posted that video on social media, I created a little diagram, and this is the diagram. And giving people a chance to see this diagram so they could understand how we sometimes tune in and pick up on these signals or on these waves. And in the diagram, it's an image of the sensitive or the empath or the person who's the psychic in the middle, and then are surrounded by people around them that represent or are supposed to represent people in the world or the community around them. So when someone is having an emotion in that community, and then another person is having an emotional reaction in that community, and a lot more people start having an emotional reaction, whatever energy, whatever emotional energy is connected or interconnected, if it's based around the same things or it's reactive around certain circumstances or situations, that begins to collect. It's almost like a magnet. It starts to pull towards itself. And this is law of attraction. This is how law of attraction works. Like attracts like. So when one emotional vibration goes out and then another one goes out, it actually amplifies that signal. And it's the same thing with people. As several people are becoming aware or starting to pick up on something, even if it's future, even if it hasn't happened yet, because we are all psychic on one level or another. You don't have to be even aware of a situation before you start to react to it. A lot of people don't realize that their intuition really does rule the show, and they find themselves making changes and doing things in their lives to help them acclimate or flex around certain scenarios that are coming up in their lives. And so for me, I felt this wave and I realized that I was reacting to something that was in the ether, something that was happening and affecting the collective conscious. So I decided to go ahead and just document that. And then I shared a schematic online so people could be aware of it and understand that. And that was it. But I know that I'm not the only person that goes through this, and I'm sure some of you have gone through this as well. And when I posted that on social media, it was immediate. The response was immediate. People were sharing and posting and giving me their own personal experiences and what they went through and how they can totally relate to going through that themselves as well. I think that it's important that we understand that, because sometimes people, especially empaths, we tend to take the energy on or the emotion on, and then we react thinking that it's our stuff, and it isn't our stuff. Sometimes it is, but there are many times that it isn't our stuff, and we find ourselves struggling and trying to, like, we seem crazy, we feel crazy, and we start to think that something's wrong with us or we've become insane because we are just having these bursts or these reactions. And it isn't always the case. Sometimes we're just having a reaction to these emotional waves. You just got to ride the wave. You got to let yourself go with that wave and ride it and let yourself feel what you're going to feel. You don't have to act on it. You don't have to go out and do something to act on it, but you still need to just allow yourself to feel it. Don't fight it, and acknowledge that this is what's happening, without overly personalizing the scenario or the situation. When I posted that video online, people were trying to figure out what maybe I was picking up on, because usually whenever I'm tuning into the future or I see something or get a kind of a whiff of something to come, I get some aspects or some pieces, or I get a scenario that plays out in my mind. So I get a feeling of what it is that I'm tuning into. Even in my dreams, they're usually like bits and pieces that show up in my dreams that give me an idea of what it is that I'm tuning into. In this case, there wasn't none of that. It was just a wave of emotional energy.